Welcome to the B-Main yet again, episode number 11 for all of you fans. My name is Scott Shive. I'm joined alongside by Gavin Grubbs and Timothy Watson here. Episode number 11, double digits yet again. Again, we hit that back 2 weeks ago, but we got a lot of big headlines for you. Let's go ahead and hit them with the hot news, Gavin.
Well, first off, at Kern County Raceway last weekend, Keelan Harvick raced on track with his dad, Kevin, for the first time, and Keelan took home the checkered flag as he was running fourth, and Kevin in the top three ended up getting into some trouble with each other, and Keelan went on to win the race.
Yeah, well, and B-Main guest Chase Burrow finally picked up his first Cars Tour win. He's been looking for it at his home track, Langley, for quite a long time, and he finally got it. It was a big celebration.
Over on the dirt side, it was USAC Midget Week in Indiana, and Jacob Denny picked up 2 wins, but still came up 2 spots short of Kildrake in the overall points championship. Justin Grant brought home the silver medal for this week.
Local driver Travis Arenz picks up the win in his first ever national sprint car start in high limit. He had never competed in World of Outlaws either, and he goes and picks it up at the 181 Speedway in Wisconsin. And he's actually from Seekonk.
And the last major headline was the Dirt Dream at Eldora saw one of the biggest beatdowns that you're going to hear about just a little bit later in track history. This and more on this episode of the B-Main.
That is all to come, race fans. If you are interested in any of that, we're going to talk about it all here in this episode. We're going to go ahead and start with my weekend from South Boston. It was trip number 5 up to SoBo. And we are officially halfway through the season. And it's interesting, we kind of front load the first part of the season because we've done 10 late model races now, and we've only got 18. But it was an interesting weekend, Gavin, because it was basically, there were a lot of cautions. I'm going to start with that. We had some audio problems on the front side, but our amazing producer, Paul, got all that fixed. There was a bit of a connection issue from our end to when we export to NASCAR and Flow. Paul didn't know what it was, but got it figured out because he's excellent and amazing. But talking about on-track action, it was wild. We had 7 different winners in our 7 different races. But the one I want to talk about the most was the battle between Peyton Sellers and he's not a newcomer, but Trey Cruz. Have y'all ever heard of the name Trey Cruz?
I have now. I went back and watched this race today, and man, those two put on a show.
Dude, I haven't seen too many races from the past at SoBo, but in my research and preparation and getting ready for the season I had. But honestly, I think that's one of the best late model stock races in a battle that I've seen in quite a while. I mean, it was great. They were beating and banging, but they were keeping it clean.
Mm-hmm. I really liked your little call there where you said South Boston is allergic to a bad race. I like that.
I'm trying to tag that line because I think it is so true. Every race this entire season that I have gotten the pleasure to call has been absolutely amazing from all 4 divisions. I mean, you go all the way from the Hornets, all the way from late models, and no matter which one we're running, it's always a good race, whether it be the fight for the lead, whether it be fights in the mid-pack, or the storylines we're able to create. It's really been amazing, and it's been really cool. I've been so blessed to work there, and I hope that I can keep going next season because it is my favorite thing I've ever gotten to do. It's always long hours on the road, but again, hopefully next year I'll be up and around the area, and it won't be that big of a deal. But I love getting to come on here and talk to y'all about my weekend, about SoBo. It was so fun. I got to show around Chase Folsom, who works with Front Stretch, and so me and him got to ride together. We rode back at 3 in the morning and got home at 5 in the morning from the racetrack, and I know it was a tough drive home. But me and him had some fun. We also got to show around this new guy, Tavion, who's interested in racing and broadcast, and so we were just showing him the ropes. But it was a fun race between me and my colleague Kyle Haney. But all from me. One last thing of news about South Boston, big major news. Landon Huffman just posted about it on Twitter just a couple of minutes ago. NASCAR and Flow Racing will inject a purse increase into this year's Virginia Triple Crown, that being the races, the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 at South Boston on June 28th, the Hampton Heat from Langley on July 19th, and of course the, Oh, I had all my names right going. Valley Star Credit Union 300, September 27th. I know. From Martinsville Speedway. But they've injected a purse increase to the whole of the event. And I'm excited about that. Have either of you ever watched the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 before?
I think the only one of the Triple Crown that I've got to watch is the Martinsville one from last year.
Yeah, that's the only one I've ever seen.
Well, our driver that's leading the championship points at SoBo did win the Valley Star Credit Union race in 2023. Name's Trevor Ward, and he's a heck of a driver. And so we'll have that race here at South Boston in 3 weeks. And y'all got to tune in, race fans, and y'all, my friends, because it is going to be a good one. 200 laps around South Boston. I can guarantee you most of the Cars Tour field will be there, Gavin.
Finally, some drivers that I know a little bit about.
That's right. Well, it's a Cars Tour off week. It's a big payday, $10,000. And so they'll be there. But enough with me. Let's talk about the Cars Tour race at Langley itself. And Gavin, we didn't have quite as many cars as we normally do. It's a long travel for those drivers.
There were a few drivers that I noticed missing. Mainly, Ryan Millington was the one I remember being like, "Hey, where's Ryan Millington at?" And Landon S. Huffman. I noticed neither of them were at the racetrack, and I think we both kind of pointed that out. And did you ever hear anything of why they weren't racing, or is it just travel? You think?
No. By the way, hacking down some dinner here. Race fans, it is late in the evening for us, and I haven't eaten yet. I was at work all day, did a broadcast before this. So anyway, if you see me, I'll be muted. Don't worry. So Chase Folsom has quite a few good contacts, and he actually messaged Ryan Millington when he was with me, and sadly, I don't think we ever got a response that day. So not sure why he wasn't there. I've heard that it's been a place in the past that he's been pretty decent at, but he's kind of been in and out of the Cars Tour here this season. I think it's one of those deals where, again, the Millington family, it's normally him and his dad that works in that car. And again, Timothy, we mentioned this a lot. You understand kind of the differences and the difficulties of trying to do that of a family-owned team.
Yeah. A lot of times, being a smaller team, you just have to take a step back sometimes. Realize, hey, we could go run this race and run 20th, or we could stay at home, work on our car, and show up at the next one and be better. Dad and I have had to make decisions like that, and it's hard because you want to go race, but sometimes it's just better to take a step back.
Yeah. Let's really get into the race. I mean, the first 40 laps, it was a little uneventful. They ended up having to bring out the little Cars Tour fun flag, but Landon Lewis led the first 40 laps and just kind of set sail, and there were kind of multiple strategies going on. You noticed that both Lee Pulliam cars dropped to the back from the mid-pack and kind of rode around trying to save their tires. It did end up being a strategy that I think me and you talked about. We don't like that strategy at all. I don't like to see cars lay back. I understand saving, but I don't want to fall all the way back because, you noticed Landy Bice almost went a lap down in just that 40-lap run.
Well, and it's tough because Langley, one of the more abrasive tracks on the schedule and more abrasive of most short tracks out there, is an old surface. It is a driver's track with the way it is. But here's the thing about the Cars Tour, especially this season, it is tough to pass in terms of just how aggressive drivers are. They're going to defend every position they can. And so I don't know how I feel about dropping to the back. Sadly for Laney Bice, it didn't work out because they had a mechanical issue. Sidelined her from that. I got to listen to her podcast interview with Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the DJD, and she was very excited about Langley. And so I hate to see her not be able to get to run that full race and just continue to improve because, again, I think she's someone who, in terms of Cars Tour competition, she's been doing really well for herself. Qualified second in Wilkesboro and got involved in an accident there. So it's really been some misfortune for Laney, and we hope that she can have some good fortune, not only to do well, but we want to host her on here, and we want her to be able to talk about some good stuff.
No kidding. But yeah, after she had the broken axle, at the start of the race, he got a 30-lap run in this time, but Donovan Strauss and Jared Fryer ended up having a little bit of contact, brought out the caution. Parker Eatman pitted with damage, and then the weather in the area created chaos. There was the weather moving inbound, and they were right around the halfway mark, and there's no better way to describe it than all hell breaking loose. And you watched the first 70, 80 laps of the race, everybody was saving. Everybody was saving. As soon as that weather got close, it was hammered down. It was chaos. Rain began as Landon Lewis was still dominating the race. And this is one thing that was bad. After the rain, he comes back out. Mechanical issues, ended up having to go to the pits for multiple laps, ended up being way down.
Yeah, and Landon Lewis, he finally got to the points lead after North Wilkesboro, and I got to check to see if Timothy, will you mind checking to see if he is still leading? Because I don't know, he didn't get the best finish there, and he had those mechanical problems. Then it was the rain
Connor
finally
Hall got into the lead.
Yep, Connor Hall got there, and again, Hall hasn't been doing too well in the past couple of races. Talking about Orange County and North Wilkesboro, so I don't know.
Yeah, so it looks like Landon Lewis is still leading,
Okay.
and Connor Hall is 2 points back. So,
Okay. So it narrowed the gap
yeah,
between them
it's getting
significantly.
close.
Who's the top five?
Yeah. So it's Landon Lewis, Connor Hall, Cade Brown, Landon Huffman, and then Ronnie Bassett Jr.
You mentioned this. We have heard almost nothing from Ronnie Bassett Jr. this year, and that's not saying that he hasn't been running well, but he's obviously been running consistently enough to break into the top 5 in points. Sometimes that's all you need, but he has been very quiet this season.
Sometimes a lack of bad luck is just as good as a surplus and abundance of good luck. I mean, he's just found the way to stay out of trouble. I can't think of a DNF off the top of my head, and he's made it this far in the season, sitting in P5. But this is about the point in the race that me and you were watching. We started noticing Chase Burrow just slowly making his way up to the front.
Oh,
and that car, and this is one thing I noticed. I don't know if his car got better after the weather and it was a little cooler, or if everyone else's cars were starting to fall off and he was just the veteran of the racetrack. He's not that old at all, but, he has a lot of experience there at Langley. If he just knew what the track was going to do and had saved enough of his car that it looked like he was that much faster than everybody, because he had a pretty aggressive move to get by Connor Hall. I'm not going to say dirty at all, but definitely aggressive. He's not afraid to use the bumper, and it was such an entertaining battle watching the two of them, as well as Jared Fryer get up there. He made a late charge to get up to the front.
I was surprised to see Connor Hall finish 7th because, again, he is a Langley native. In terms of that racetrack, that's where he grew up. That's where he races when he's not racing at the Cars Tour. When the Cars Tour has an off weekend, he's racing at Langley.
Yeah, but if you noticed, about the time that the weather was in the area, Connor Hall was one of the most aggressive drivers. You got to think he might have used up a little bit too much of his stuff in that mad dash to the rain, where Chase Burrow was kind of one of those drivers that when the weather was coming, he went from the top 2 or 3 back. He didn't fall back very far, but he was willing to surrender a couple of positions with maybe the confidence that the rain wasn't going to stick around very long.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, again, one of those things that we don't often see from Connor Hall. And it was interesting. And look, talking about Ronnie Bassett Jr., he was quiet all race long. He got 6th place finish. So some good battles. But Chase Burrow, once he got the lead, I think you and me were on the edge of our seat, just ready to get to the end.
And it seemed like that race would never end once Chase got in the lead. Landon Huffman got into the 91 car, caused a little bit of a wreck after the two of them had been going back and forth at each other for a few laps. And I was laughing because even though you can't see their face, you can't see even their helmet inside the race car, you can look at a race car and tell when a driver is really mad. Landon Huffman was heated.
Yeah, like he was very, very mad at that 91 of Justin Carroll. And that's not the Justin Carroll that owns his car, is it? That's got to be a different Justin Carroll, right?
I believe so.
It's got to be, because that wouldn't be good. But I just realized that correlation of names, because Justin Carroll is the owner of Carroll Speed Shop, and so I've got to think it's got to be a different one, because I don't think he would have done that to his car owner.
I've seen stranger things happen.
Well, you never know. Tim, I don't think that would be very good in a driver's position.
No, I mean,
Would
you don't want to make the guy who owns your car mad.
Would you feed the owner of your car a bumper to the left rear if they had wronged you a little bit in the heat of the moment?
If we were racing for the lead, yeah, but
not outside the top 10.
Yeah. I don't think that would have been the case there. Fed him a door when I got under him, just a little rubbing, but
yeah,
I don't think I'd have spun him out.
Yeah, I know, but it was one of those things. I kind of thought there was going to be a little maybe altercation.
No, I did too. Well, we did see one.
We did see one, but it was surprise to everyone. Really a surprise to everyone here. Connor Jones. All I see is a video on Twitter of him getting drugged through the air by his own crew guys trying to stop him from going after Parker Eatman, and I'm not sure if I saw the incident leading up to it, but man, it was quite a funny scene on Twitter of Connor Jones's crew guys trying to hold him back.
Yeah, he didn't really even get to throw a deal at all or anything. It was he didn't even get a chance, but obviously he had to be really mad for something like that.
Well, let the boys have at it.
Well, I let the boys have at it, but here's the thing. We've seen him get in stuff all season long, a lot of it not being his own fault. So I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen it earlier, because he has been egregiously wrecked this season in many varies of disciplines of driving and cars that he runs. So,
yeah, but let's just talk about the finish of that race. Chase Burrow, we thought Jared Fryer had the car to catch him and beat him, but there at that last run, Chase Burrow just checked out.
Just got a great restart, and like there were so many cautions towards the end, and every time you and I were like, oh my gosh, like what if this is the one where he doesn't get a good jump? But every single time Burrow got away. I mean, he was a master of the restart zone, and it was what helped him continue to get that win. I think the battle between him and Connor Hall, while Hall might not have loved it, I don't think it was too aggressive.
No, there's nothing. I don't think anything was. He didn't do anything wrong there.
But I mean, you're battling for your first Cars Tour win, and it's one of your biggest opportunities. Like, you're going to get aggressive
as well.
Oh yeah, and I bet the crowd loved it, because that's two Langley natives.
Exactly. I mean, there's one thing having a little bit of that extra pride in your home track. When it's a tour race and you have two hometown guys going at it ahead of the entire tour. Like that's what every local fan dreams of, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. Well, Burrow celebrates his win, and it was really cool to see. We also had some great stories over from the NASCAR Modifieds at SeatCon, Gavin.
This was kind of an interesting race. It was a really, really quick race. Justin Bonsignor got on the pole, led the first 30 laps. Surprisingly, one of the all-time greats in the series. This was the first time he has led any laps this season.
Wow.
And when they said that on the broadcast, I didn't believe it.
That's wild.
It was one of those like, no, there's no way. But no, it was his first lead he's had this season. Hirschman led the next 30 led laps after that. He got the lead. Really never looked back. A huge wreck on the last lap, collected most of the field. Austin Beers made it through to finish P3. And our boy Austin Beers, great week for B-Main guest. Austin Beers is now leading the points for the NASCAR Modified Tour.
Hey, it just
this is one of those things that I have been saying, that he's a championship contender, and now he's proven it.
He really is.
He hasn't finished outside of the top 5 yet.
And the real question is, when do you think that win is coming this season? Because he's won before. He won, I think it was 2 wins last year. 2 wins, right?
It's coming sooner or later.
What's getting in his way? What do you think it is? Because he's been running so consistently, it just hasn't worked out.
It honestly feels like speed of the car, because it feels like he usually has a 5th to 10th place car and wheels it to a top 5, but
Yeah.
just getting into that top 2 in the modified tour, it's like getting into the top 2 or 3 in a cup race. There is a huge there's as big of a difference from 5th to 1st as there is from 25th to 5th.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is definitely tough. I know that he definitely wants to get that win, but I know that he's happy to be leading those championship points. Let's go to our new next storylines, and I think it was that Carson Hocevar won the Money in the Bank. That's now 3 Money in the Banks, the most that anyone's ever won.
Now this kid is insane. He almost got his first Cup win this week too.
Dude.
Speaking of wins that are coming, it's coming for Hocevar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the situation in trucks. I mean, he was so close to winning in trucks over and over and over again, and but after he won the one, he won pretty regularly after that. So I think it's going to be a similar situation in Cup. He'll finally get one win, and then they might start being a championship contender.
Tim,
and to be doing this in a Spire car.
Yeah. Well, and they've improved this year. They've improved, but
they've improved. But I mean, look at how he's outperforming his teammates. We know that Justin Haley and Michael McNally are not bad drivers.
Yeah. No, I definitely fully agree. Tim, I want to know, because you obviously know Hocevar, what do you think? Which racetrack do you think he has the best opportunity at here in the near future?
I really don't know.
We got some road courses in the way.
He's good everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if a road course. I mean, maybe a road course, but yeah, I think he's better at short tracks, just from what I've seen. But you can't really say that he's way better here than he is there, because he just seems to be good everywhere. Obviously, I think he has a lot better chance of winning on like a mile and a half for a short track than he does at a super speedway or a road course. So,
and one track that's just kind of coming to mind for me is a bigger track. It's longer than a mile, but it races a lot like a short track. It comes down to the driver a little bit more than the car a lot of times. He might win at Gateway. When they go back to St. Louis, I can see that being a track that he runs well at and maybe even wins. I mean, that's where he made his Cup debut at, in relief for Corey LaJoie, who was in relief of Chase Elliott, and ended up outrunning LaJoie, who was in a Hendrick car.
Yeah. I think it's definitely like gas or brakes. Carson Hocevar gets a win this season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him not winning.
All right, we're hitting the gas on that one. Hocevar has done really great. We'll get to talk about Michigan a little bit more later this evening. But Timothy, you went racing this weekend, this past weekend at Mobile. We want to hear about that.
Well, it's Mobile. It's a great racetrack. Little bit bigger than a half mile. I've always called it a half mile, but I got corrected this weekend. It's actually a 5/8 mile, but real high banked, really fast. We unloaded, got ready for practice, went out and practice, was fastest on the board, and we skipped second practice just so that it was really, really hot outside, so we wanted to keep the car cooled off for qualifying. And qualified on the pole, redrew. Well, I had to roll the dice. We didn't redraw, but I ended up starting second. Ran in second for about 10 laps, and then we had a lap car give the leader issues, and I was able to slip by there and led the last 30 laps. But I wanted to also talk about, you mentioned at South Boston, y'all had a bunch of cautions.
Yeah.
And we had the same situation. It was 12:30 before we ever left the track.
Golly.
Just following the outlaw race only had 2 cautions. We had a caution at lap 20, and then we didn't even make it onto the backstretch before the caution came out again. But
Gosh.
like the truck race at Mobile, I think it took like an hour and a half to run 30 laps.
Oh,
It was ridiculous, and it was. I wanted to think it was a full moon, but it wasn't. Just because it was that level of everybody was wanting to wreck in the other divisions.
Goodness, that is, yeah, and that's the thing, that's how we felt, and it created some good racing. But at some point, it's like, hey, we gotta clean this up, because
Yeah,
normally it's happening in the midfield.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
That's
got a
exactly how it
question.
happened.
Do you think if the lap car hadn't have given the leader trouble, you would have gotten him? How were you closing in? Was it slow and methodical, or?
I
Oh, I think we lost Timothy. Oh, yep, there he goes.
oh,
We lost him
he's
on it,
gone.
and he disappears. Timothy Watson is gone. I think
That's
that
the magic man.
Well,
That's the magic man.
race
now You
fans.
see him, now you don't.
Well,
That's
well,
the
here,
magic.
now you see him, now you don't. You're about to see him back again, because we're gonna take a break and get him back.
Just
We're
like I
back.
said, the magic man, Timothy Watson, is back. He is back.
Yeah,
We had a little.
Wi-Fi Wi-Fi decided to drop out on me there, but we got it figured out and we're back on track.
It's that Florida
Um,
internet.
So,
Yeah,
do
it
you
started raining out of nowhere, so
literally,
when
it's
it
been
turns
Florida.
out it like
it's been storming
yeah,
here too.
yeah,
So I want to hear about you trying to catch the leader.
yeah. So I think we definitely had the fastest car, and it would have taken me a couple laps to work on him and figure out where to pass him. Obviously, um, I don't know how much y'all know about Carter Taylor, but he's a couple years younger than I am, but the past 2 years has been, extremely good in the Outlaws, and he's starting to get his roots set in, and he's, starting to make a name for himself, and it's always fun to race around him. And I don't know if y'all saw my interview, but I was pretty upset with the way that played out. I think that's the most mad I've ever been at winning a race, because I was really looking forward to how that race was going to play out, and obviously I can't, as a race car driver, you can't just back down and let him go again and then
Yeah.
try and figure it out. You have to,
No, you go.
when you're given a spot, you have to take it. And but yeah, I was following him for about 10 laps, uh, and just figuring out where I was faster than him at and where I could eventually pass him. And yeah, then that happens, and it just there's suspense that builds when you're following a car. I don't think I ever got further than 2 car lengths back from him, and you're just trying to work him down, figure out where you can get by him, and then it's just like, it all that work was for nothing, because a lap car decided to do something that has no place in motorsports.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's tough, because it's like, oh, you want to race him, because what you don't want to just
yeah,
go out, and it's almost like, yes, you want to win, and it's like a driver winning by a huge margin, but it's like sometimes you
mhm.
never truly get to race. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and that's something else. Like after I'd gotten by him, I probably pulled him by about 10 car lengths, and then we had a caution at lap 20. And
Mm.
after that caution, I was able to just set sail and got about a straightaway out
well,
before the end of the race.
it makes me think about, you've been dominating the Outlaw this year. I think you've got
Because you're what, 4 for 5.
4 for 5.
Mhm.
Yeah. Does that thought ever come across your mind of, it's just that, yes, you've got competition and you're getting put back, but you've got a ton of poles, you got a ton of wins. Like, I know it's a deal with you and your dad still trying to figure out super stuff, but do you ever think about that?
Yeah, which this year has been different, because like the 2 races at Pensacola that we won, I didn't get the lead until we were taking 2 to go or 1 to go. It was,
Yeah.
very racy. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uh, but a couple years ago, when we were running Outlaws full time, and that was our main focus. I mean, there were nights we would win by, almost a full lap, and that when you're doing that, and this is gonna sound really ungrateful, but it almost gets boring. Like
Yeah.
it's just
No, yeah.
like
No, no,
you
I
show up
get
to the
it.
track, and like it, and there's almost kind of like this ego that builds because it's like you show up to the track and you're just waiting for the
Rightfully
race.
so.
Yeah, but it's a I say it's a bad place to be. That sounds ungrateful too, but it just gets to the point where it's like, okay, I wanna race somebody. Like I
Right.
kind of getting tired of coming out here. And another thing that does to you is when you do have somebody who's faster than you and you finish second, then you feel like a disappointment because you just won all these races.
Hmm.
So and then you let somebody beat you, and it's just but it's also a good thing because it's kind of a grounding experience, lets you know, hey, they're here, they got their stuff right, and now it's time to race. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like to pick your brain on stuff like that, and we love getting to see you succeed in all aspects, and we'll continue to watch that throughout the year. Gavin, I believe that ends everything for our asphalt segment.
It does, and man, I have been dying to
I'm
talk
excited about dirt
this
this weekend too.
I'm excited to talk about this high limit race that we watched together because, holy cow, 141 Speedway put on a show.
Yeah, and I said 181 earlier. Sorry, I meant 141.
Yeah.
My apologies, but dude, you've said
That's
it.
my bad. I messed it up in the rundown.
It's okay. You've said it, and I want to say it to our viewers. Every time me, Gavin, and Timothy watch a race, it is
All three of
it's
us.
okay, and it's a race. I'll say that. Every time that Timothy has to leave or isn't there, it's some absolute heater. Like Timothy was watching this race for the first 5 laps, and he had to go to bed.
And it was fine. It was a fine start to
But
the
then
race.
it just escalated. I mean, it just took
As
off.
soon as he gets off the call, I'm like, should we wake him up? Should we call him? Should we get him back in here? And you're like, nah. And I'm like, no, it was nuts. But Bill Baylog, who from the World of Outlaws used one of his 4 freebies to come back and run a track he has over 10 wins at, and he comes in, leads the first 13 laps over all these high limit guys, and everybody's like, okay, good wake up call for him. Good wake up call for him.
Yeah, because he has not been
And
doing
Adam-
great on the World of Outlaws side.
I mean, he's been doing fine, but
He's
nothing
doing fine, but
insane.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the local hero, Travis Arenz, who, by the way, only has one other 410 sprint car win, period, and has never even made a start with High Limit or the World of Outlaws, the 2 major series, starts sliding up his way up through the field. He made the dash. He was in the top 6. He started 5th, and he starts picking them off, running the bottom. You see all these West Coast guys, and then your guys from Indiana, like Tyler Courtney, they're all up. They are all right up on the outside. They got their right rear on the cushion. They're ripping. But you look and you watch Travis Arenz. He's all the way down as close to the tractor tires as you can get. He just starts picking up a little bit of ground, Lap 14 comes around. Lap 13 comes around. Justin Peck and Tyler Courtney get into an incident. Wow, my bad there. And we get a restart. And by this point, Arenz has worked his way up closer to the front. Lap 21, he finally gets around Bill Baylog. And he didn't look back for the second half of the race. He just kept going and kept going. Casey Kane and Anthony Macri wrecked. Macri had a lot of damage. We're like, all right, well, is Arenz going to be able to hold him off this time?
It's so many restarts.
So many restarts. Reminded me so much of the Cars Tour race.
Yeah. Well, and
mean,
again,
you have the local hero, which Chase Burrow is a Cars Tour veteran. He's been on the Cars Tour for a few years now, and he's made so many starts with them. So it wasn't a shocker. But I watched a decent amount of sprint car racing. I've never even heard of Travis Arenz before.
Yeah.
I didn't know who this guy was. I was like, who is this guy? And, man, he just kept going. And a little funny moment happened. Kyle Larson hit the tractor tire trying to run the bottom. When you're a guy who runs the top, run the top. And you're a guy that runs the bottom, run the bottom. It's funny. You see a driver who is generational like Kyle Larson get a little bit out of his comfort zone and smokes the tractor tire.
Yeah.
But
well, dude, Travis Arenz, it was one of the you and I said it. It was one of the coolest things we said. We nominated it as a potential race of the month, and we'll get to determine that later on in our next. Well, I guess not our next episode, but the next.
Whenever the month of June's over.
Yeah, but it absolutely is a good contender because we saw a good amount of incidents, a good amount of racing between competitors, and just a hometown heartfelt story of a hometown hero coming and really running an excellent race in his first ever national start. Like, that's the biggest thing. He had never ever run High Limit or World of Outlaws ever in his life, and he comes out and looked like he had run in full-time High Limit competition and was battling for a championship.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed him say, it was either 2016 or 18, he won a Sportsman Modified track championship there at 141. He's not a native. He didn't grow up running midgets and then 305s and 360s. He was a modified guy who I don't know what the situation is, but he ended up transitioning from cars with at least 2 fenders to cars with no fenders.
Yeah.
And the most 2 opposite style of race cars as you can get on dirt. But that's one thing. You remember us talking about how I remember you both were complaining, man, sprint cars just don't put on that great of a show on a big track. Put them on a bull ring and look what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my main complaint with sprint cars all the time.
Big tracks.
Yeah, big tracks. I mean, well, that's my complaint with any form of racing is big tracks. But yeah, it's. I was sad that I couldn't watch it with y'all, especially the next day whenever we were in a call together and y'all were telling me all about it and what all I missed out on. But yeah, I'm gonna have to start pushing my bedtime back a little bit for race nights, I guess.
Not too long. It wasn't that long of a race, but here's another race that me and Timothy got to watch together was the USAC sprints at Knoxville. And it wasn't really that crazy of a race, but one moment I want to talk about, it came down to a green-white checkered for a tire cover on the front stretch. And I just remember, like, me and you were both just like,
yeah,
WTF, man.
Well, and Bacon had such a big lead at that point, and I felt bad for the guy because he wasn't the fastest at that point. I believe Briggs
Danner was running him down.
Yeah, was running him down pretty fast, and but Bacon had enough time to where he would have, been able to stay out front.
Held on, yeah.
Yeah, but then the caution comes out for whatever reason, and the broadcast isn't saying what it is, and then we see an official come running across the track with a little tire cover that was up against the wall, out of the way completely, and yeah, it just it was
frustrating. It was frustrating.
Yeah, it was very frustrating, but thankfully Bacon was able to hold on and walk away with the win.
That and a crazy flip in the heat race of Kayla Rell just bit the cushion straight into the wall, had a nasty flip in her heat race. It was one of those wrecks that you go, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked rough.
Yeah. But yeah, Indiana Midget Week, we got to watch one of these races together. We got to watch night 2 together. Jacob Denny did just dominate the field that night.
Seriously.
And win at Paragon. But, man, I love the midgets. They're so fun. But USAC Indiana Midget Week.
It was a rough week.
It was a rough week of supposed to be 5 races in 5 days. Ended up being 3 races in 6 days due to rain. And I looked, it was on Zach Dom's public Snapchat story, and he said, Indiana Midget Week, more like Indiana Rain Week. I'm glad this is over.
Yeah. And that's gotta be frustrating too, traveling around. That costs money. Travel,
even if you're
rain.
in one state, go, go, go. 5 different cities, 5 different nights.
Right.
I mean, if some of them are somewhat close together, so maybe
Well,
you get to stay in the same hotel, but
and you
still,
commit
all
for that for the week.
transporting, yeah, you're committed for that whole week. You're bringing cars from track to track, just hoping to maybe race. But yeah, that was the thing is Kildrake was the overall champion, but Jacob Denny dominated 2 of the 3, or dominated at Paragon, and then last night at Kokomo drove through the field, got his 4th race win of the year, and I feel like 3 of those have came on races that some of us, at least 2 of us, have watched together.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jacob Denny's finally coming into his own. It's really cool to watch him. But yeah, Dirt Dream, the event we have all been waiting to talk about.
I finally got to finish it today.
What a show.
Dude, well, and I avoided spoilers for so long, and I'm on a broadcast last night, and the lead, my good friend Wesley Outland, he didn't know that I hadn't seen it, and he goes, Dirt Late Model Dream, what a great race it was for Jonathan Davenport. And I was like, dang it, gosh darn it. I didn't tell him because I didn't want him to, feel bad.
No,
but I was like,
y'all should have had that moment on the broadcast. It would have been hilarious. It would have been
no. I was like, oh, yeah.
Moment.
I was like, JD has been good this year and acted like nothing had gone by. But, well, and I mean, again, see, here's the thing. 3 in a row. Never been done before. Never.
Yeah, well, 3. This is a weird stat that they said. There has been 3 Dream wins in a row, but never winning the Dream 3 years in a row. They ran the 2020 Dream in 2021, and Brandon Overton won it in 19, 21, and 21.
Oh.
Which was a weird thing that they said. There's
well,
a little
I guess
asterisk by that record.
That is an asterisk, because I guess, I mean, that is...
He's won it 3
Brandon
times
Overton
in a row,
has won
but
3
still
times
not
in a row.
3 years in a row. Not 3 years, but 3 times in a row.
Yes. That's a deceiving stat. I'm not
I
going to
don't
lie.
like that.
I don't like that
that.
either
Yeah.
because in my mind as a viewer, I'm like, oh, so no one has ever won this race 3 times in a row. When now I didn't know that's not true. Brandon Overton's won 3
That's
times
what
in
they
a
were
row.
saying. That's at least what they said on the
Come on,
broadcast.
James and DJ, you're leading me astray.
But yeah, it was a wild race because you look at the front row and it's Shane Clanton, who's an older guy, older veteran, and Dale McDowell, who's 59 years old,
At the
starting on the front row.
The same front row from 2004. 21 years ago,
21
these
years.
2 drivers
Yeah.
were on the front row of the Dream.
These 2 guys were on the front row.
And McDowell, he had an excellent night. I mean, what? I think he finished top 5.
Here's one. They were on the front row together before Drake Troutman, who was in the race, was born.
Gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
And again, Clanton did pretty good. I think he finished outside the top 10, but I mean
Ran up front a lot of the
McDowell,
night.
59 years old, finished in the top 5.
But yeah, first caution that came out, Spencer Hughes absolutely nailed Chris Madden, who kind of spun on his own. That was just kind of a oof. But Shane Clanton, Dale McDowell, the second time they went green, got in there, roughed him up a little bit, but no harm, no foul. McDowell goes on to get a huge lead. And you look up and look right outside of the top 10, or at the top 10, you have Hudson O'Neal in 10th, Bobby Pearson 11th, Ricky Thornton for 12th, and Jonathan Davenport in 13th. And you're looking at the 4 of them. When you see the 4 of them on track together, you would assume that they're all in the top 5.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my big points that I want to talk about from the Dream. The first one, Devin Moran almost not making the show in the final B main. He goes from 24th all the way to the top 5 for a while running order-wise. And then you've got RTJ running well, falls off. But as well, Hudson O'Neal falls back. He has an issue with his with his front body, but then he DNFs. Another thing that I think about that was huge was Bobby Pierce. Running, he starts up, I think he starts within the top 10. It might have been
around. I think he was started around 10th.
Yeah, this is what we'll start off with this. He gets all the way up to second. He feels something wrong. He said in his interview, he said something was wrong, and a caution came out, and they decided to pit. The caution came out when he felt something wrong. Put on 2 rear tires, works from the back of the field all the way back to second. But by then, Jonathan Davenport was 9 seconds ahead once he got to second.
I loved
I
it.
mean,
at the
I think
end,
it's
but
heartbreak
Jonathan-
for Bobby Pierce.
I loved it at the end though, because you see, and Jonathan Davenport wins the Dirt Late Model Dream, and then long silence.
Yeah. No, literally, it was crazy.
And here's Bobby Pierce.
Well, and they said Bobby Pierce is going to finish second. Where is he? You know, like saying he hasn't crossed the finish line yet. And also, when they put the top 10 finishing order up, the top 10 didn't come through for the next 20 seconds because JD had lapped into the top 10. Ricky Thornton Jr. was the last car in a lead lap, and he was a second from going a lap down because he finished less than that. He finished right in front of Jonathan Davenport when Jonathan Davenport finished across the stripe.
So, I mean, I've never seen anything like.
No,
I mean, I've seen races like that, but
it was domination
not
in
in
late
a
model
crown
dream.
jewel. Not in a crown jewel with that strong of a field. I mean, he just did things that haven't been done in a long time.
Well, and here's the biggest thing I noticed. I don't know if y'all two noticed this. He was running the bottom more than anyone. No one was running the bottom as much as Jonathan Davenport, and Bobby Pierce mentioned this in his interview. He started farther back through the field, and even when he had to replace the tires, he had to work the outside to try to get around the field. And obviously in dirt car racing, you rip the outside, the right rear is spinning longer and harder, pushing you off the corner, you're burning up more tire. Jonathan Davenport was consistently on the bottom when alone or trying to pass cars. And so he saved right rear the most. That was the difference. No one else was running the bottom like Jonathan Davenport. I think that's why we saw such domination.
And that's another thing. Jonathan Davenport and Bobby Pierce, both two of the smartest racers you'll ever listen to talk. They give their interviews are amazing to listen. Their post-race interviews are amazing to listen to. Like, they're two drivers that when they win or podium, I look forward to their interview. Most of the time, I'm like, all right, whatever. This guy's just going to say the same, yeah, thanks for the team. We had a good run. Name a bunch of sponsors. Jonathan Davenport and Bobby Pierce go in depth, and they give so much detail that it feels like you're the one racing.
No, I love it. Timothy, what were your thoughts on the dream? I want to know.
Well, I didn't get to watch any of it, and
I thought you watched the highlights.
I didn't get to watch the highlights. I was gonna do it today, but then I got busy working on the race car.
You missed a good one.
And I know that's what I've been sitting here biting my tongue about because I was upset listening to y'all talk about it that I didn't get to watch it.
Well,
and but I was hoping that I'd get to watch it with Gavin, but I was not in a position to watch it with him.
Gavin, I want to know your take on Moran. Because when I saw him queue up for the B main, starting back in 10th in the B main, I was like, is Devin, like, I literally was queuing up a text to you today that said, I can't believe Devin Moran didn't make the Dirt Late Model Dream. Because I was like, there's no way in this B main he goes. We had not seen anyone past the position of 6, even in the heat races, make the transfer. No one farther back than that. And Devin Moran goes up and he wins it. And he went. I believe, no, he started back in. Yeah, he won that B main.
He started pretty deep.
He started 24th. He started 24th in the show, but 10th in that B main. I couldn't believe it.
This is gonna sound like I don't want to sound like, oh, I know racing, but everybody talked about being surprised by Devin Moran making the show. I wasn't surprised at all. Because
I wasn't surprised by him making the show. I was surprised to see him in the B main.
But even from that, the heat races at the Dirt Late Model Dream are loaded. When you look at a heat race,
yes, there were 100 cars at the weekend.
I mean, the 100 best Dirt Late Model drivers are the ones that show up. So to see Devin Moran not be in the top 20 of heat races, you're like, oh, okay, that's understandable. But to see him start as deep as he is in the B main, okay. I'm not surprised, but to watch what he did, it's very impressive. But when you realize, oh, it's Devin Moran, he's supposed to be able to do this.
Right.
And I'm not saying that I'm not impressed. Like, I'm very impressed, but I'm not surprised. It's like when you realize how good of a driver he is.
Yeah, it's impressive, not
surprising.
Not surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing was, because I was again surprised to see him in that position, but not surprised to see him be able to make it work. Because, again, when he gets in the Dream, he worked from 24th all the way to the top 5. And, again, that's not surprising, but it is impressive because, again, once you're in the Dream, that's 26 of the best.
And that field of the Dirt Dream is just...
It was a good field. It was a good field.
I mean, you look outside, like I said, the best fields in racing that you'll see most of the time when you think, okay, yeah, the Cup field and the IndyCar field in America. Then you have the Dirt Dream, the Knoxville Nationals, and the Chili Bowl. And like those fields are as good, if not better, than the Indy and Cup field as far as raw talent.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at it, and Timothy, you'll know this, the Snowball Derby is in that category as well of just, everyone is here.
Yeah, well, one thing I have to say about it is I don't watch much dirt racing, but I'm looking right now at the results from the Dream, and I recognize every single name in here. And that's coming from somebody who doesn't, if you showed me every player on any sport team that I don't watch, I'd recognize maybe one or two of the names. But here, I recognize every single name, and... I obviously know they're extremely talented drivers, and that's all I know about them. But just to see that in a results tab, to recognize every single name like that, and you don't pay attention to it, that's pretty impressive.
And it's one of those, you look at the drivers that are 15th to the back of the field, and you goes, oh, he's great, he probably got a top 5. Oh, he's great, he probably got a top 5.
Yeah.
Or you're looking at it and it's like, oh, well, what happened? Like, what happened to O'Neal, or what happened to Tyler Erb?
Right.
Like, what happened to make them finish that far back? And then you look at the people who finished in front of them, and it's like, oh, well, maybe nothing happened. Maybe they just had an off day.
Yeah.
Compared to the others.
Well, and I think Eldora is just an amazing racetrack that produces this excellent racing. Like Jonathan Davenport mentioned it, this is one of the best tracks, and it's the way it is, with it being as big as it is, the way the track crew treat the track. Like, you can run the top, you can run the bottom. It gives you long enough to be able to create this. Gavin, I mentioned it to you, I love these 100 lap events because it really goes and shows us who has that pure driver overall skill. I mean, we see a lot of races that they're 30 and 50 laps, and we don't see as much tire management. And there's a big part of dirt racing that is go, go, go and get it out. But I love these endurance events of it, that it's not quite as go, go, because I think you still get some of the great passes and great racing action that you get in those shorter lap events, but you just get more.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like you talked about Eldora being such a good track. It is, and I am not afraid to say this, it is my favorite track in the country. Favorite track I've ever been to. Favorite track to watch on TV. If you say what is the perfect racetrack, I'm just gonna say, if you can make the perfect racetrack, what is it? I'm just gonna say, just make Eldora again, and that's the perfect racetrack. Yeah. And it's funny because it's dimensions wise, it is literally just take North Wilkesboro and put dirt on it.
Yeah.
They are the same.
Yeah. Well,
and as somebody who's been in the bleachers at both tracks, they feel the same. Like, being there feels the same.
Yeah. It is really cool. Dirt late model racing is some of my absolute favorite. Like, it's always good. It's one thing I've said about South Boston. Like, our racing at the track is always good, and that's the same feeling I have when it comes to a lot of dirt late model racing, especially these marquee events. And I've said it to you before as well, I love when World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil and like World of Outlaws and High Limit, when they all get to come together. Sometimes I really hate that they're split, just because I'm like, you got the best in the world are split. And so it's so fun to get to see them all go head to head. Like, it
makes you appreciate it so much more when they're together.
It does, because it's like I love getting to see Bobby Pierce battle with Jonathan Davenport, battle with Brandon Overton, battle with all these other drivers. When Tyler Erb gets to battle all of them as well, like it's just that's one of the biggest things I'll love about the Crown Jewel events is that all these drivers that are the best truly come together instead of being split apart.
And there was one point early on in the race. This is just a little quick note I'm making before we move on. Is it was at one point near the beginning of the race, the announcer said there are 5 different chassis builders in the top 5 right now. And usually you only see Longhorn and Rocket chassis running up front, and to see 5 different car builders all represented in the top 5 at such a prestigious event was just so cool to me.
No, I have to agree with you.
I mean,
the Dirt Late Model Dream gave us a show this year. And
is it also a nominee for Race of the Month?
I think so.
Well, do we have 2 nominees for Race of the Month right out of the gate?
Yep, and they're both dirt events. Here's the thing. I think we need to make a little list of races that we need to go to together. I think, obviously, this year's Snowball Derby is one. I think the Dirt Late Model Dream needs to be on that. I want to go to the Dirt Late Model Dream in 2026.
I think the Dream needs to be on there. I want to get to a sprint car race all together too. We need to be at a NASCAR weekend together.
Hey, look,
obviously the Snowball this year.
Well, look, hey, next year if World of Outlaws runs at Magnolia again, I'm right here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, I think we got some of the best we've gotten from Dirt all season for this episode.
Yeah, and let's get ready to get into our little fun, playful section. Bonehead of the week.
Let's do it.
Scott, I'll let you go first because I have mine kind of in my head here, so I'll let you kick it off. I'll go, and then we'll let Timothy go.
It came when we were watching the midget races, and this might not be the best one, but I've been bad about not. I get so into races. Sometimes I don't exactly see the dumb things because we watch so much, and so I was like, okay, I got to write this one down. Zach Dahm gets out of the car after the midget race. I believe this is at
Paragon.
This is at Paragon, and he was upset with somebody. Gets out of the car, marches halfway down the backstretch with his wheel in hand, and then walks away. No, he didn't even get to the race car. He just was like, "Oh well, okay." Turns around. Like the official didn't hold him back.
We were ready. We were ready to see
I was like,
throw.
"Yes!"
So excited.
Come
and
on.
Then he just stopped in his tracks, took a breath, and turned around. And was like, "Come on!" I wanted to see some action. So bad.
I did too. I really did. And sadly, we didn't get to see that, Gavin.
My bonehead moment, it's going to be sort of with the whole team, sort of at one driver. I'm not really sure if the attempted fight is the bonehead move or the stopping the attempted fight is the bonehead move. But just Connor Jones getting kind of flung back through the air by his own team guys at Langley was a very, very funny moment. Just a good, dude, what are y'all doing moment from the end of the Cars Tour race.
Yeah.
I
was expecting to see something.
Yeah, exactly. This was the week of almost fights.
Yeah, we should have some sort of hockey rules.
No, literally.
If the gloves are off, let them fight.
If the gloves and helmets are off, let them fight. You know, when they hit the ground, pick them up, separate them, and each go their own way. I feel like that. I think that would, well, this is kind of a hot take, but I think that would fix some wrecked race cars right there. If you let people fight, just fight it out, then the next week they might not be as mad with each other and they might not intentionally wreck.
What's your record in post-race fights, by the way?
0-0. I've never made it to the trailer before.
Well, I like that call. I think that should go up the chains as well too. The chains up the
chain of command.
There we go. That's what I was thinking about. Because we see it in NASCAR now. We see that drivers are getting separated before they can even get together. You know, when a driver comes over and is angry at another, we've got 30 people like near them or in like someone in between them, and it's like
And it's always that
like,
same
and-
security guy. We
and-
see
Yeah.
him in every fight.
Well,
it's the
and-
same
Yeah.
one.
here's the problem.
It's been the same one since 04.
Here's one of my things. People that aren't NASCAR fans love to see that, and it is a potential to bring in new fans. Like when the fight happened at SoBo in the opening of the season, we don't condone that, but we're not gonna say, "Oh, we got to get everybody off of each other immediately." Like we're gonna do our best to break the fight apart, make sure that nobody gets truly injured, but like. We can't, and it's a different at a short track level. You can't have so many people ready. We had no idea it was going to happen, so there's nothing that our team could have done. But obviously, NASCAR is in a different position. They've got so many hands, and when they see this happening, like they've got so many eyes. But it's like that's one thing that can be used for engagement. It reminds me of the Stenhouse and Kyle Busch fight last year at North Wilkesboro. NASCAR was using it for all this engagement, and yet they find Ricky Stenhouse. And it's like, well, if you're going to use it for all this to promote the series in NASCAR, then why are you finding him?
Yeah,
and so I feel that way
exactly.
about like when drivers get broken apart up in short track stuff or dirt stuff or whatever. Like it's just like, let them fight.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Let
a
'em fight,
problem.
Timothy.
And it's a problem when the crews join in and start fighting
Yeah.
each other. But it's
You don't
when
want
it's
it
the
to be
drivers.
a brawl of 20 or 30 guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's a bad deal. But it's when it's the drivers, and I don't say that to dish on NASCAR because I love NASCAR. Don't
Let them have a fight night.
I love you guys.
Let them have a NASCAR fight night at the awards banquet postseason.
That'd be
But see,
interesting.
that'd be interesting.
You
But
can call
by
out
then,
anybody you want. Call out anybody.
but by
you
then
want.
the tension and the everything is
I don't know,
gone.
but if they announce it, it's going to be building all year. When anytime there's an altercation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Timothy,
I think it's the
that's
best
more
when
of
it's
a
right
joke
there.
than anything. Timothy, who's your bonehead of the week?
I'm gonna have to go with the USAC officials.
That's fair.
Knew
at
this one was coming.
Knoxville. that I really didn't like that. I think it was a bad call. Maybe they had a different view. Well, they clearly had a different view of it than I did. But yeah, I don't think a caution should have come out there. But yeah, that's my bonehead.
I'm fine with that. Ready for the badass move of the week? I'm going to lead us off with the badass move of the week. I'm going to go to the very first night of Indiana Midget Week, and Cale Drake went from 6th to 1st in 3 laps. He went from 6th to 2nd in one set of corners, I believe, and I mean, he was ripping the fence. The entire top 6 kind of got under a blanket, and Cale Drake said, all right, if nobody's going to make a move, I'm just going to make the move on all of you at once.
Yeah.
And it was just the amount of momentum he managed to keep while picking off these guys 2 and 3 at a time was just awesome.
Yeah. Timothy?
I'm gonna go a different direction here because I really don't have an on-track move of the week.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say Gavin. For making the notes so detailed that when I don't do my job and watch the races, that I still understand what's going on.
That is a badass
But,
move.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Mine has got to be Bobby Pierce in the Dirt Late Model Dream. He qualifies well and moves up, and then he has the problem with the tires and goes all the way from the back up to second, under 50 laps. And you got to say, if it didn't happen, he could have had a chance to maybe win his first ever Dirt Late Model Dream. But he wins, I think it was $30,000 for second, 20 or 30. So still a decent payday. And
Yeah, I'm not going to be mad about that.
yeah. Oh,
Can we give just one more shout out to Travis Arenz, though?
yes.
That's going to be a race that I think fans are going to talk about for years, honestly.
Yeah.
Like that's just an all-time racing moment to me.
Honorable mention for sure. Because I'd say it's one of the best races we've watched this season. I would say the Show Me 100, the Dirt Late Model Dream, the High Limit race over from 141 were some of the best dirt events we've seen and some of the best overall events we've seen.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other great races since we've started the show. Honestly, the Chili Bowl was up there. It was a good race, even though Larson dominated the field. NASCAR's had several good races this year, especially on
Yeah.
the Xfinity side. But yeah, speaking of NASCAR, you want to get into it a little bit?
Let's do it.
All right, so Nashville 2 weekends, or I guess last weekend, in the trucks, Rajah Caruth, career win number 2, holding off the 2 hottest drivers in the truck series right now, and Corey Heim and Lane Riggs. I just want to talk about the composure of Rajah. He's only been in an actual race car, 6 years now? Because he came from iRacing when he was 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has not been in a actual race car very long, and he held off a charging Corey Heim, which, to be fair, Heim and Riggs kind of raced each other out of the win. But just the composure that Rajah kept to not make a mistake and hold on to the lead was awesome. I don't know how much of that race you guys watched. It was an all right race with a great ending.
Yeah.
Xfinity kind of the same way, just a solid race. Justin Allgaier held on to win, but man, Connor Zilic almost had him. He could get there to him, but he could not get around him. And Connor Zilic has got a first oval win coming soon.
Yeah. Well, and on, we've talked about Zilic a good bit this year. We've also talked about Carson Kvapil some, and I think he has just been in some of the worst situations, but he has also made mistakes on his end. I just wonder when he's going to be able to turn that around, because I think all three of us agree and believe about that that is the whole deal, that Carson Kvapil is going to get a win, that we've said that he is a guy that could win a championship. And I just wonder when those mistakes are gonna pause and he can get that breakthrough win.
And it says a lot that we're talking about his mistakes and lack of performance when he's setting in the top 10 in points and consistently running up front.
Yeah.
I mean, for us to be like, man, when's he going to get it turned around? When's he going to get it turned around? And you're like, oh, he's, 7th, 8th, 9th in points right now? Second in the Rookie of the Year standings? I mean, it's just weird for us to say that he's been, I'm not saying weird, but step back and remember he's a rookie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah. And it's hard to watch or not say that about him when last year, whenever he made his, Xfinity debut and everything.
And he runs second.
And he ran so good. And he was, well, like you said, he ran second. And, he started off the season pretty good. And now it seems like they got a monkey on their back. And, I think time will tell. I don't believe that it's a personal problem of his, or that he's lacking or whatever. They got to get the kinks worked out.
Yeah, and then the Cup race at Nashville, one of the better Cup races we've seen here in a few weeks. Chase Briscoe, who is turning into what Ryan Newman used to be, where he just gets the pole every week, running up front. How about Corey Heim just absolutely kind of blistering his way through the field and still in single digits of Cup starts, getting all the way up to 13th before he ended up in an incident.
Yeah. I mean, look, he deserves a Cup ride. I think everyone knows
Everyone
that.
knows
Yeah.
that.
And here's the thing. Where do y'all think the opening is for him?
Here's the thing. Legacy, maybe?
But can they afford to charter a third car? Or are you talking about kicking somebody out?
I mean, it's hard to kick one of those two out because they're outperforming what Legacy has done in a handful of years.
Right.
Both of them.
And I think
team has shown a lot of improvement.
Yes.
But here's another thing. John Hunter and Eric Jones, both solid race car drivers. But can you sit here in this call and say with a straight and honest face that John Hunter Nemechek is better than Corey Heim?
No.
No.
And I don't like saying that.
No,
I don't want to talk bad
yeah.
about any driver who is a solid race car driver, but I don't think it is an honest thing to be like, yeah, John Hunter Nemechek's better than Corey Heim. He needs to have a car over him. And I'm not saying it's a situation where you can't let a driver who I think has generational potential just set in the truck series.
Well, here's something that and this is gonna sound crazy because today's NASCAR scene, brand loyalty is crazy, and we might,
He might get poached.
yeah, he might, Heim might get tired of, being forced to stay in trucks for, just one more year, and we might see Chevy or Ford, pick him up, and that's something that isn't completely off the table.
Well,
And Ford really has been known to do that.
Well, and here, I'll
Yeah.
bring up a perfect situation for y'all, and I'm not saying that this could happen, but obviously, with everything that went on with the IndyCar side on Penske, Tim Cindric no longer at the team. I don't know what that had with Cindric being there, because Cindric, again, a good race car driver. You're going to make it to the Cup Series. You made it there on any sort of talent. Like, you don't just get to the Cup Series.
He has more wins than Chase Elliott in the last 2 seasons.
Exactly. And so here's the thing. But if a hole was to open for Ford, would they say, all right, who do we think can be better, Corey Heim or Austin Cindric? I'll also say, and I'll give y'all another point, 2311. Herbst is running 30. I think he's running 30-something. I think he's running 35th in the points of charter drivers. And, again, Riley Herbst, not to talk bad, he was good in the Xfinity Series. He found his way. He was a good driver. But let's be fair. He's done nothing in Cup this year.
No, and I don't, and I feel like he is in.
Corey Heim has gotten in with 2311, 13th place finish at, what was it, Kansas. So
and another thing, Brad Keselowski doesn't have very many years left in the tank.
It's very true.
And Corey Heim fits the bill of a Roush driver. He fits the build of a. When you picture a Roush driver in your head, you think of Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards.
Yeah.
You think of guys from the Midwest who grind it out and just win races.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at the drivers that Corey Heim has the blueprint of.
Yeah. Well, and on, it's just, I don't know. If I was Corey Heim,
I can see him at RFK more than I can see him anywhere else.
If I was Corey Heim, I can't sit in the Truck Series any longer.
No, and if you can't get a Xfinity ride with Toyota, it may be time to call up Ford teams, call up Chevy teams.
Well, and I just think with how he's done in his Cup starts, he's ready.
Yeah.
Like I think
Yeah, he's ready.
I think he's ready. So
Yeah, I think it would hurt him to go to Xfinity because well, that's
learning
not where
another
he needs
new
to be
car.
in a Cup car.
Yeah.
He needs to be in a Cup car.
He
He's
needs
ready.
to be in a Cup car.
Well,
I mean, I think it would be more beneficial for him to ride around in a Rick Ware car than it would be to have another year in trucks.
Well, I don't know if I would take it that far.
I
at
don't
least
take
he'd
it
be
that
in
far
a Cup
either.
car.
Yeah, but okay.
He would
Yeah.
he would if he stayed another year in trucks, won the championship again, and then
Well, never won.
you know,
He's never
waited
won a
that-
championship.
Yeah, he doesn't have a championship.
Oh, he hasn't?
No.
I thought he won last year.
Nope. Ty Majeski.
It is.
Oh, that is right.
It is a.
But he has been.
That's right.
He has been right
What?
there.
I don't
Yeah.
hate the playoffs in Cup. A lot of people do. I do not like it in trucks at Xfinity.
Yeah.
I think that having that playoff format is a privilege that Cup drivers have earned because of their skill and the way that they can perform every week and not have shenanigans happen like the 2023 Truck Championship.
Right.
And I don't like watching Truck Series playoff races.
Yeah.
And
Because
Xfinity playoff races.
let's not lie. In 2023, Ben Rhodes, he had done well in the season. He had gotten himself to the championship 4. But in that one race and throughout the season, Corey Heim was the definitive champion. Like he was the driver.
Corey Heim has been ridiculously good.
Well, and again, I heard this on a Dale Jr. download of he didn't love the cautions the stage breaks at North Wilkesboro because there just wasn't enough time for drivers to get runs in. With the lower lap counts that trucks and Xfinity run, I think it'd be interesting for NASCAR, at least for one or both of the series, to maybe try no cautions at stage breaks on ovals as well. Like,
I mean,
because
I would be
I'd
up
be
for
a
that.
fan for it, because I think you'd make a great point, Gavin, of saying it is a privilege, and I think there are great things about the playoffs that can keep you safe.
Mhm.
I think there's weaknesses to it as well, but there's going to be
Mhm.
weaknesses to any sort of format. But I think
Mhm.
you're right. I think especially in Xfinity and trucks that we have seen the championship taken away from who should have been the likely favorite champion
Mhm.
because of the setup.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but yeah, Blaney ended up. Sorry to go way off
No,
topic.
that's
here. Go ahead.
what is it? No,
No, I
you
was
go
saying,
ahead.
I was saying, going
But
back off topic about Nashville, Ryan Blaney kind of he needed that win. He needed to get up front, and that's what I wanted to talk about was his move in stage 2 to get that 3 wide move to get the lead at the end of stage 2.
I'll tell you, me and Timothy we were barely watching this race. We were racing in the sim. Me and
That's
Timothy
fair.
were together at this time.
But
yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, I'm sorry about just completely breaking the flow of conversation there.
that's all right. But
I'm sorry.
yeah, Scott and I attempted to watch the
Dude,
cup
we were so
race.
sleepy. Dude, stage 1,
I
we were both
understand.
sitting on the couch and we were like, and then we got up and walked around and we were like, oh, okay. And then Timothy, for whatever reason, we had the sim running and we started running some laps of different stuff. And so
Well,
on and off,
I-
we just kept running laps.
Yeah, I had found out that you had never run the Gen 6 car on
Oh,
iRacing.
yes. Yeah, I'd
And
never.
I was like, oh, if like I I remember talking so bad about the Gen 6 car when that was the A class car, and I
Now
didn't
we'd
like
wish
it.
for anything
And
it
then the
back.
next gen, yeah, I drove it for the first time since the next gen became the A class car. Uh, last Sunday night
Still
with
so
you,
arrow tight though.
but it is a world of difference. There's horsepower. Like you can spin the wheels.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It
we did that while the cup race was playing.
and then we watched the last 33 laps.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's
33
fine. That's
there.
all you needed to see of that race. It was
Yeah.
it was a race.
Well, and you've got it here. You know, has Penske found it again? Are they back? And I think that's an excellent question from this race. But then you go over to Michigan, and Penske is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what the heck's going on.
It's gonna be weird to watch for the end of the season because I think it's gonna be an up and down rest of the season for Penske there.
Well,
I think they're gonna just try looking for consistency right now because they might be in their own heads a little bit.
And I think they are. And this begs the question. A lot of time for the past 3 years since the 7th gen car has been introduced, we have seen a true dominance of Penske. And
Late
does
in the
this
season.
well? And that's where I'm going. Does this debacle throw them off for the late game? Because that is where they have been the best. They have taken advantage of the system that NASCAR currently uses, and they've won the past 3 championships. Does all of this, do they get over this before that point comes? Because could all of this be the year that we see Penske not win the championship?
It's hard to say.
Exactly. But it is a good question
When
just
you
because
say,
this has
okay,
never
they're
happened before.
not, when you say, all right, they're probably not going to win because they're off right now. Okay, but when are they not off at this point in the season?
It's true. But we've never seen them as
And-
off as this. I'm not saying that they're not going to win
don't
it,
know.
but I'm saying this is different. This is different than we've
Yeah.
seen in the years past.
But it's also a 3-week stretch where they're off. It's not, hasn't been 5, 6, 7 races of just all 4 cars being bad.
That's right.
Some of Blaney showed speed until he
And
spun
Josh
out
Berry
and
did
tore up the
show
bottom
speed
of
at
it
Michigan.
until Blaney spun and just I think he said that he killed the bottom underside of the race car.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But anyway,
But
that's something that I've been thinking about. Another thing that I've been thinking about is Chase Briscoe. 3 poles in a row, and yet where are the finishes? I think he finished top 5 at the 600, but that was it. Like Chase Briscoe is in the opportunity of a lifetime. I think he did pretty well in the Haas car, but I think everyone expected more of Chase Briscoe for those years, and we thought that it was the Haas car that was limiting him. I don't know if it's just maybe the big difference in how the Haas cars were than the Joe Gibbs cars, and if he's having trouble getting used to that, but something is not working.
And you got to think, it might be as simple as the crew chief, because when Cole Pern retired, you saw Truex's performance dip.
Yep.
And that 19 team has not been the same without Cole Pern at the helm.
Yeah.
And it's shown 2 different drivers having similar results of, okay, they're around the top 10. They're hanging around up front. They're fast, but they're not, you don't think of them as a threat to win when you show up at the racetrack.
Yeah. And it's been interesting.
I've started Chase Briscoe so many races in fantasy this year that I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think he's gonna do great. I think he's gonna do great. And then he just kind of he does all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know,
But
I think they've got to figure it out because it's not working, and it's working for Denny Hamlin. It's working for Christopher Bell. It's somewhat working for Ty Gibbs.
Hey, Ty Gibbs showed a lot of speed this week.
That's right. You're very correct.
I kind of thought he was going to win there when it got down to the end.
Yeah. He's been in and out, but not as much as Briscoe. And so, but look, if we're talking about drivers that we're questionable about, when is Ty Gibbs getting that win? He's in a Joe Gibbs car. He has a good crew chief. He's got, I don't remember who his crew chief is, but we know it's good. I've questioned when is that win coming, and
take a step back. Remember Joey Logano's first 3 years at Gibbs. I know he had a win in his first season, but it was a rain win. He didn't win until year 4.
It's true.
Till the summer of year 4.
I'm just posing the question.
But the first 3 seasons of their careers, I'm not going to say it, but I bet if I go on Racing Reference when we get done with this, I bet their stats are almost identical for the first 3 years of their career.
It's probably similar.
And I still think that just knowing what Ty Gibbs is capable of when he has momentum, because I know, okay, yeah, he's an Xfinity championship, but it's a Gibbs car and Xfinity. He's supposed to win. Yeah, but I mean, when Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson would dip down to the Xfinity Series, he was competing directly with them. It wasn't like he would win and then run 7th or 8th. He was still consistently up front when Cup guys would come poach the series.
Yeah. It's just, I think about it because see him.
I'm not worried about Ty Gibbs. I'm a Ty Gibbs defender.
Really? I can tell. You jumped on me.
No, I know. It's kind of a weird... If you know me, it's kind of weird to watch me defend Ty Gibbs of all drivers.
It's very true.
Because he is not really fit the blueprint of drivers. I'm like, man, I really like this guy.
No, seriously.
But I just... Something about... Ty Gibbs, I know that he's good.
Hey.
And I think it's because his situation at the start of his career reminds me of the start of Joey's career. And it's like, there's a wheelman locked in there somewhere. You just got to figure out how to bring it out of him.
Yeah. I didn't get to watch this race from Michigan, but I'm looking at it. But Butterbean winning the Michigan race over Corey Heim. I saw a post from ARCA, and it said, guys, this is his first season, talking about Butterbean. Like, we say that the move, like going to ARCA, is not normally the move. Butterbean is one of those guys that is showing that for him, it was exactly the move because he didn't have a big presence in NASCAR. He had a big presence in short tracks. And we questioned the ARCA move for just a moment, but you put it in perspective of saying he has to go prove himself to these truck teams and these Xfinity teams that he can not only get it done in the short track realm, but the intermediate realm and drafting tracks and all that. And I think he has truly gone and proved that already halfway through the ARCA Menards series. Yeah,
I mean, and it's not like he was, I mean, yeah, it's the ARCA field. You take it with a grain of salt. But you look at the
Corey
rest
Heim,
of the cars,
yeah.
Corey Heim in the Venturini car and Gio Ruggiero in the 18 car. And for Butterbean to beat both of them,
Yep.
if you watch any truck racing this season, you know that putting the two of them in a Toyota Arca car, you'd be like, oh, well, they're just going to dominate. And to watch Butterbean win at a track.
That's what we said. When we said that Heim was getting in that ride for Jake Finch, we were like, well, Heim's going and winning. And
I said
we were wrong.
I thought that Butterbean might be able to compete, but I didn't think that he would have enough speed in the Pinnacle car to outrun the 18 or the 25.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of an afterthought. But no, Butterbean's great. And I was impressed, and I know people don't like aero blocking. I don't love, aero races. Ooh, we kind of all groan when we hear about it.
Yeah.
But watching Butterbean be able to aero block and work the momentum as a short track guy who has little to no experience on a track as big as Michigan over Corey Heim of all drivers was very impressive.
Yeah. No, I'd have to agree.
Then the truck race was... Ooh.
Wow.
Did you get to watch any of it?
Nope, but and that was the thing. SoBo was busy for me this weekend.
Yeah.
But when somebody told me about the finish, I was like, oh my gosh.
I mean, it was just... It was a weird race.
Hey, what do you think about LaJoy running trucks? Wasn't his big thing that he didn't want to go and run trucks? Do it.
Did you see what he I think it was what he compared it to? He said he said that it was like breaking up with a girl, moving back into her house, but staying in the guest room.
Yes, because and here's the thing. I'll say this about LaJoy. Like I'm not saying he's a hypocrite for getting back in a truck. Heck, if I was a Cup driver and what happened to him happens to me, and it's like, hey, come run a truck, I'd be like, okay. Like, LaJoy is a guy who loves racing. He's not going to say no to a truck ride. Like, that's just not going to happen. And I don't blame him for it. Like, go run the truck. Mm-hmm. Like, awesome. I think he's been doing really great on the broadcasting side, and I love him excelling in that. I love seeing him in NASCAR because I think he's an excellent guy, excellent personality, and excellent driver. And so I was glad to see him get back in it.
And he ran up front towards the end. He kind of was around 10th place all day. That 07 truck has kind of seemed to be a little bit off of the rest of the Spire trucks.
Well,
even
and
when
it's
there's a Cup,
irregular run.
Cup, it regularly runs, but even when Kyle Busch and BJ McLeod and Corey LaJoy have all ran it and all been a little bit off in it, whereas when Kyle ran, I think it was the 7 truck and not the 07, he ended up winning the race.
I think there's just not as much focus on the 07 because the 7 is always running. They always have someone in the 7. But the 07 runs sometimes. That's new this year. And so I just think when they run the 07, it stretches their manpower. It stretches what they have at the shop. And so they can't put quite their full effort into it.
It's like how ThorSport, they have 6 trucks. You can't expect all of them to run great.
Yeah. So it was interesting. But, hey, Friesen gets back in it after earlier this year saying, I don't even know why we're running trucks.
So it was kind of one of those moments where you're like, he might actually be done. He might call it quits. And that was an emotional win, a great win. I loved it for him.
Yeah.
I kind of wish he would have done the Brad Keselowski celebration, but instead of the American flag, he gets the Canadian flag out, does a burnout with the Canadian flag. That would have just been funny.
I think
that would be hilarious.
That would have been
that.
Like trending.
I know, like it would have been hilarious. I think he should do it.
Yeah.
But no, this is one funny thing that our buddy Drew King, good friend of the podcast, sent me a picture. He said, this is the one lap that Tanner led. And it was a picture of Tanner Gray, the one lap he led it going backwards. It was during one of the wrecks in overtime. He crossed the line. Line going backwards, and he led that lap.
That's crazy. It was a wild weekend from Michigan, and
wild week.
Let's talk about the last thing from Michigan that I think broke a lot of people's hearts. It hurt me. 2 left rear tire cuts for Carson Hocevar, and both while leading, but the biggest one of them all while leading the Cup race, where it looked like
at his home track.
Yes, Now, I will say, I don't know what would have happened. I don't think he did because Byron ran out, and I think he was on the same deal as Byron. But you've got to say, you never know what happens if he's still running. Circumstances change. But I don't think he would have made it anyway. So he might not have won anyway because of fuel mileage. But we'll never get to know. And it was heartbreaking to see because he's so close.
It's coming. Like, we know that win is coming. We don't know when it's going to be. We don't know. It could be next week or it could be next year. But there is a win in Carson Hocevar's near future.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And again, we talk about it. Denny gets it. He saved enough fuel. Byron runs out, and Denny goes on to get it. Chris Buescher was challenging there, though, for a second. He ran a pretty good race. It was a quiet race for him. But, and hey, all 3 RFK cars in the top 10.
They needed that.
They did.
They've had speed or Buescher's had speed
Ryan
all year.
Preece is my guy. He's my boy. I was like, when he went to RFK, I was like, he's going to prove to all these people what a good driver he is because he has not been in the best equipment. And he has gone out and done it this year. He's barely.
I love Ryan Preece.
I love Ryan Preece. Like, he is a contender for the playoffs right now.
Yeah,
and
I
without the DQ at Talladega, he would be in the playoffs by a good margin.
Yeah, he's great, and that's another. Who gets a win first, Hocevar or Preece?
Hocevar.
Yeah, I think
he's right. Hocevar has been closer. I think Preece can get a win. I think he is a Cup Series winning driver, but I don't think as much as Hocevar. I think in terms of if you put them at the same amount of years.
I put the RFK car that much ahead of the Spire car.
I do put the RFK car ahead, and I think we see Preece in the top 10 a lot, and we've seen him battling for top 5s, but we have yet to see Preece battle for the win as much as Hocevar. I think he battled for the win about one race, and he was close. And I think we've seen him battle more for the top 5 rather than the win.
Yeah.
So that's about all I've got on our deal.
I mean, Alex Below didn't win the IndyCar race, so
hey, but Kyle Kirkwood did, so that same 2 drivers.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, it's a little bit of a change of pace.
Seriously.
But yeah, no, that was really all that happened in Detroit was that Below wrecked and Kirkwood won on a race with 2 different varying strategies. I'm going to be honest, I slept through half that race.
Yeah.
But no, that's all that you need to know about that. And
right.
F1 continued to go on and happen.
That's right. But races coming up. F1 is at Canada this weekend. It is officially the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I am so excited. I have not looked up. You know what? Let's do it real right now before we close.
I haven't even looked up.
I want to see who's running. Entry list. Entry? That's not a word. Entry. There we go. List. 2025 Le Mans entry list. This is about to be a really, really long sheet. Why is it not showing me?
Just go to the prototypes.
This is a fancy and complicated website.
Yeah, it is.
I just want to see the entry list. That's all I want to see. Entrance of 2025. Here we go. Okay, Felipe Nassar, Nick Tandy, they're running in the Penske Porsche. Let's see. Who else notable is running? Lawrence Vanthor is running. Let's see. Kumi Kobayashi is running
with Toyota.
Nick DeVries.
Yeah, they're on the same.
And Kobayashi,
team.
That's interesting. Who else we got? Scrolling through all of this.
Brendan Hartley is racing for Toyota Gazoo Racing.
Huh. Kevin Magnussen running for BMW. He's been running for them in WEC all season long. So a lot of notable drivers in here running. Mick Schumacher is running with Alpine in the number 36. So he's running as well.
I'm kind of interested in that Toyota team with Kobayashi.
I am too. Hey, and guess what?
That is a team that, out of all the ones that you've read off so far, that is the one that is kind of made me like perk up, and be like, that team might win.
Well, hey, look at this.
Well,
Sebastian
Cadillac.
Bourdais,
Yep,
and Jensen Button running together.
and Earl Bammer. That's
Okay,
that's
never mind.
gonna be a hard
yeah.
team to
At
beat.
Cadillac, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ferrari, Antonio Giovinazzi is running with them again. Let's see. Who else are some notable names? This is okay. The Van Thor family is huge. There's two of them. There's a Stoffel Van Dorn. He's running as well. Okay, how many freaking hypercars are there? Oh my
There's
goodness.
a lot.
Felipe
There's a lot.
Dragovich is running the
Yeah.
311 Cadillac. And we're back to Nick Tandy. Let's go to LMP2. See, I want to see who's running in the LMP2 side. See if there's any names I notice. Petro Fittipaldi, he's running. Let's see. Theo Porcher is running, F2 champion. Not as many names I know up in here. I wish NASCAR was off so that I would love to see
A NASCAR team.
Zilich run in an LMP2 at Le Mans.
I would love to see Penske send some IndyCar and NASCAR guys together on a team.
It'd be
I
so
would love
sick.
to see I would love to see an All-American team.
Oh, that'd be
I
so.
would love to see. Honestly, on a road course, I think Newgarden, Hendrick, and Blaney, honestly,
Yeah,
would be
It's a
the
good team.
move.
it's a good team. Well, and hey, look. Speaking of NASCAR, it's NASCAR Mexico weekend.
Big weekend for
I'm
NASCAR.
excited.
First international race for the Cup Series
Since what,
the exhibitions
1997?
in Japan.
Yeah, which
The
was I think.
Japan exhibitions at Motegi.
Which, hey, Timothy loves Motegi.
Yeah, that's well, I don't like the road course too much, but
You like the oval?
the oval. The oval's fun. It's a parking lot now
Is it
in
really?
real life. Yeah.
No
I
way.
I
think
didn't know
they-
this.
Protect
had some
racetracks.
sorta- They had an earthquake or something several years ago, and it damaged parts of the track, and they never repaired the oval. So I
Yeah.
believe that they use it as a parking lot now for race events. I did want to point out Valentino Rossi is driving a GT3
Huh.
for Team WRT at Le
Okay.
Mans.
Well, hey, that's
There's
going to be
also
fun.
There's also a parking lot at Auto Club as well.
Golly. Hey, look, we should have mentioned this. What'd y'all think about that bill that Iowa signed?
Love it.
We
very
need
good.
that. Gotta have it everywhere. Gotta.
Yeah.
I hope.
you gotta put that in motion.
I hope that race
Yes.
fans across the country saw that and hope starting to push it to their local senators. Race fans,
Mhm.
if you're out there, if you know a senator, push it to your local senator. We want to see racetracks in America continue to be protected from land development, noise complaints, and all that, because a lot of that is extremely ridiculous. If you're going to build next to a racetrack, you should know it's going to be loud. That's my only take on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Like,
there's no ifs, ands, or buts in around. Like it's, you know what a racetrack is. It's like an airport. It's
Yeah.
gonna be loud if you live by it.
or an interstate.
Yeah, they did the
Exactly.
same thing with the interstates here in Florida. They built houses next to them, and then people start moving into the houses, and then they complain, and then the state has to spend more money to build a giant wall all the way down the interstate. So
That's so dumb.
it's
Well,
just
I think that's all from me. Gavin, you got anything?
I don't have anything. I'm just ready to enjoy this. I'm just ready for this NASCAR Mexico weekend.
Dude,
Honestly, I'm
It's gonna
so
be
excited
okay.
for it.
Before we close, who do you think the top contenders are? I want this from both of you.
I mean, anytime you're going to a road course, you got to look at Allmendinger and Van Gisbergen.
yeah.
Chase Elliott's due a win. Daniel Suarez
Yeah.
winning would be huge in Mexico. And then, honestly, I think it's anybody's game. I think everybody is good on road courses now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
This isn't the old NASCAR where, oh, you got some ringers and it's really only 3 or 4 guys. Everybody can win.
here's my thing. The last time we went to a new road course, Shane Van Gisbergen won, and it was his
Yes.
first ever Cup Series start. I think for it being new to everyone, I think he has the biggest advantage.
I don't think it's as
Yeah.
big as an advantage as it was in Chicago.
See, I think
Because
it is.
Chicago was a track. Okay, Chicago was a new track that not
But
everybody
the
had a lot of
Autodrome
sim
is
time
new.
on. Yeah, but it's not that new because it's on every sim. Everybody has access to it. To a simulation of it.
I don't know.
And I think NASCAR teams have stepped up their road course game, even though it's only been 2 years since Van Gisbergen did have that win. I think everybody kind of had a wake-up call of, oh, we're not untouchable.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's got a big up.
I think he's got an advantage, but I don't think he is this insurmountable, crazy favorite.
Well,
Tim,
all right.
You got a pick?
Well, I don't really have a pick. I think Van Gisbergen, he's gonna be in the hunt for it for sure.
Now that I've said this, he's going to go on and dominate.
Yeah, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of y'all on that. I think that he, just because of his road racing experience and all, and it being a new track, I think that he does have an upper hand. But at the same time, after he did what he did in Chicago, I don't think that the Cup teams are gonna be blindsided like that again at a road course. They're not gonna.
I don't think they'll be blindsided. I think I just think he has a big upper hand with it being new to everyone in terms of running it for the first time legitimately.
Yeah.
You want to do like a 1, 2, 3? Just name a driver
that you would think is going to win.
Pick. Yeah, just like a 1, 2, 3 first driver that comes to mind. Not even like a in-depth reason to why. Just a 1, 2, 3.
All right, you got to start.
All right, you ready? Who wants to count us down?
All right.
We're gonna say it together.
Yeah.
I think we need to go one by one so that we can.
No, because then y'all get time to think about it. You don't need to second guess yourself.
Oh,
this is all about your gut instinct and just not overanalyzing it.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Tyler
Chase
Reddick.
Elliott.
Larson.
Why did you say it late, Timothy?
I didn't. I think I just said it. I think I just said it slower than y'all.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so
talk a little slower than y'all do.
Did you say Reddick?
And that is, yeah, I said Reddick.
Yeah.
Just kind of a weird gut feeling.
I don't know.
He's been up front.
I'm pumping the brakes on Tyler Reddick.
He's due a win.
But at
yeah, but saying it's somebody's due a win is like saying a certain number is due on the roulette table.
Okay, I know.
The probability is, it's not changing just because.
No, it's not. No.
Yeah.
I'm pumping the brakes on Gavin's pick.
Yeah.
I just think it's an outside of the box pick.
Larson, I think is a good pick. I think
Larson's a great pick.
I think that's a top
pick.
5.
He's a safe. I almost said Christopher Bell, but
see, I wanted to say Shane, but for some reason, again, that's a safe pick. Chase Elliott has struggled, has not won since Texas of last year. I don't think he's won a road course in the next gen, still, and he used to be. Hey, oh yeah,
so you picked Chase Elliott because he's due a win?
No,
not because
no.
So, and then you're gonna tell me I can't pick Reddick because he's due a win.
Did I say did
I
I say he's due a win?
You didn't say that. You just named a bunch of reasons why he won't win and why he hasn't been performing.
I just said he hasn't been performing. I'm just saying he could turn up in Mexico. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying about Reddick.
But I'm not saying he's due a win.
I'm just telling you.
We said different things. You can't change my mind.
Sure.
I think that is a great ending to our episode 11 here of the B-Main. Gavin?
See you guys see everybody in 2 weeks.
See everybody.
Man, and if you want to sponsor us, reach out to the B-Main Podcast 2024 at gmail.com or get a hold of us at any of our social media accounts. All the DMs are open. Feel free to reach out to us for sponsorship and partnership opportunities.
Peace.